Pastel was a small village, far away from anywhere important. It was a simple village, filled with simple people. Fathers passed their trade on to their children, who passed it on to theirs, again and again. It was the kind of village where one was born, lived, and died a nobody. Robin hated it. Robin was the son of the village tailor, though he wanted to be anything but. His life, and the lives of everyone in this village, were confined to the small houses and shops owned by the same families for over a century. It was a stifling, static existence that Robin couldn't bear, made all the worse by the other villagers' complete acceptance of this drab, predetermined life. Robin sat by the river, tossing stones and watching them sink to the bottom. Today was his 16th birthday, and the day, as was custom, he would start officially working with his father and preparing to take over the business. He had worked with his father growing up, learning the proper way to sew, how to make clothes, and adjust existing ones based on new measurements. All his father's lessons had accomplished was to cement how much he wanted to leave this village. He didn't know what he wanted to do. He just knew he didn't want to spend his life as Robin, the tailor of Pastel. He wanted to leave, to see the world, to be something. Soon, his boredom outgrew merely throwing rocks, so Robin left the river and wandered the streets of the village, watching as people went about their business. Hulda, the baker's wife, was setting pies on their window to cool. Eric and his brother Charlie, Pastel's only two farmers, were selling crops and livestock. Robin sighed. This was even more boring than tossing stones into the river. He knew everyone who was selling, and he knew everyone who was buying. He knew who would buy what, too. People around here rarely needed anything out of the ordinary. They bought the same things every week, again and again. Oi, Robin! Robin saw Marley, the tavern keeper, lumbering toward him, carrying a barrel of ale. Marley was Robin's favorite person in Pastel, and the only person who didn't think Robin's desire to leave was outrageous or foolish. Marley had never really considered leaving himself. He was content with his tavern. But he respected Robin's desire to be more, and he thought anyone who sought to squash that deserved a swift kick, a thought he manifested on multiple occasions. "Ain't you supposed to be with your old man today?" Marley asked, smiling knowingly. Robin grinned right back. "He decided to give me the day off, it being my birthday and all." "Is that so? Well then, how about you help an old man carry this heavy thing to his tavern, eh?" The request itself was ridiculous. Marley was nearly 6 feet tall with the build of a bear, whereas Robin was 5.5 feet on a good day, with the slight build one would expect from someone who spent his days learning to stitch. Even if Marley wasn't strong enough to carry the barrel himself, Robin was more likely to hinder the man than help him. But Robin knew Marley was helping him, allowing him to get away from his rote life for a little while. So Robin said what he always said. "All right, old man, let me show you how it's done." The Rusty Creek, spelled with an A, not an E, which Robin had always found odd, was Robin's favorite place in Pastel. The village didn't get many travelers, but when they did, they would inevitably make a stop at the creek. Robin spent as much time as he could in the creek, hoping to meet the traveler that would one day take him away to see the world. Robin pushed open the door, holding it so Marley could roll the barrel through. It was the middle of the day, so there would only be 2 people occupying the tavern: Carletta, Marley's wife, and Rupert, the village drunk. Robin had no idea how Rupert ended up the village drunk, especially in a village where everyone inherited their parents' business. He always assumed Rupert's family had lost their business somehow, but he had never actually asked much about Rupert. True to his role, Rupert was already drunk, currently attempting, and failing, to guide a fresh mug of ale to his mouth. Marley stood the barrel up and snagged the mug from Rupert's shaky hands. "You've had enough of this, man. Get yourself out of here and go sleep it off." I ain't done yet, Rupert complained, his words slurring. I'm sorry, did I sign you the deed to the creek or something? Last I remember, this is my tavern, and if I say you're done, you're done. Now get out before I throw you out. Rupert mumbled something that didn't quite make it through the alcohol and stumbled out of the creek. Sorry about that, lass, Marley said, turning to another patron Robin hadn't noticed. I hope he didn't cause you any trouble before I got here. Your wife did a fine job of keeping him in check until you arrived, the woman replied, taking a sip of her ale. Marley nodded, satisfied. Well, I'd better get this into the cellar, he said, turning to Robin. Stay here and make sure Rupert doesn't try to sneak back in. I'm sure if he doesn't pass out somewhere, he'll look for another chance to sneak a drink. He rolled the barrel through a door behind the bar and disappeared into the bowels of his tavern. Robin took a seat at a table near the woman, and Carletta brought him some food. Sausages, bread, and ginger beer. He examined the woman as he ate. She looked a few years older than him, with dark hair and an even darker scowl. A sword sat in its scabbard against the table, and she was using a hunting knife to spear and eat her sausages. Her cloak was draped over the back of the chair, and she wore a set of brigandine armor. She was a bona fide warrior, no doubt about that. He had no doubt she knew he was watching her, but he didn't care. She was a real live warrior, right here in Pastel. You done staring? She said gruffly, not bothering to look at him. Nope, Robin replied, his smile clear in his voice. Sorry, kid, but you're a bit too young for my tastes. Robin was taken aback for a moment, then laughed. Oh, I'm not interested in any of that. I've just never seen a real warrior before. The woman considered this. I suppose a place this tucked away wouldn't get many visitors, would it? Only 1 or 2 a year. Sometimes we'll go an entire year without seeing anyone new. Like you said, this place is tucked away. Well, at least you're staring at me for healthy reasons. It's a nice change of pace. They sat in silence for a bit, the only sound the clink of her knife against the plate as she ate. Robin's food sat forgotten on the table, his interest wholly consumed by the traveler. Why are you here? He finally asked. She chewed a bit, mulling the answer over in her head. I'm on my way to kill someone. Sounds dangerous. Only for the man I'm going to kill. Does he know you're coming? Most likely. Is he dangerous? Not as dangerous as me. The door to the tavern swung open. Robin! Robin groaned. The timing could not have been worse. How did I know I'd find you here? His father said, storming in. Tell me, how did I know I'd find you, wasting your time here at the creek instead of at the store, working like you're supposed to be? I wasn't wasting my time. I was helping Marley. Oh, helping Marley. Yes, yes. I know the difference between helping and slacking off. I ought to have words with that man, encouraging such behavior. If you don't grow up and get some sense into you, you'll end up just like Rupert. Do you want to end up like Rupert? No, Robin said quietly. There was no talking to his father when he was like this, although it was his own fault. He shot a glance at the woman, who was watching the exchange with an amused look on her face. He felt the heat rising to his cheeks. There was no real chance that she would take him anywhere, same as all the travelers who came through. Yet an irrational part of him still thought of his father's actions as spoiling his opportunity. Then you'd best start acting like a man and not a little boy. How can you ever expect to take over the shop? I don't want to take over the shop, Robin blurted out, interrupting his father. The embarrassment of being scolded in front of the first real warrior he'd ever seen. The exasperation of hearing these lines over and over again. His father never seeming to understand what Robin wanted, just expecting him to live the same boring life everyone else before him had. All came out at once. I don't want to take over that stupid tailor shop. I don't want to be a stupid tailor. I don't want to live in this stupid backwater village where nothing ever happens, and I'll die a boring, fat old man like everyone else here. I want to leave. Don't you get it? I want to travel, to see things, to do things, to be someone. I don't want to end up like you. His father stared at him, shocked. Robin ran out of the tavern before his father had time to recover, and before he had time to regret what he had said. The sun had long set before they found him. He sat at the very end of the river, where it flowed into a crevice in a small ridge. Robin liked to imagine that it led to some series of underground caves, that there was still some undiscovered adventure in this little village. It was as far as he could get from the village without feeling uncomfortable, like he was doing something wrong. A balance he found ironic. "You've stirred up a bit of trouble, lad," Marley said. "It's a small place, Marley. You kicked the wrong stone in Pastel, and it's trouble in someone's book." Marley sighed. "Your father's doing his best, Robin. And I know you want to leave. I know this isn't the life you want. But there are some things you just have to bear. And how long do I bear it for, Marley? Until I'm 30? 40? Till I'm old and broken and I've missed my chance? Living here is killing me, Marley. There's so much in this world to do and to see, and I'm being left out of it all." Marley sat next to Robin, saying nothing. The woman didn't sit. She leaned against a tree, keeping a respectful distance. No one spoke for a while. Marley knew Robin. He knew he didn't mean what he had said to his father. It wasn't him Robin didn't want to become. It was this place. Pastel was unknown, boring, and safe. Robin wasn't made for that kind of lifestyle. At least, not yet. He needed to see more of the world than a hamlet in the middle of nowhere. This place was too small for him, and Marley knew it. He nodded to the woman, and she approached. "Listen, kid, are you sure about this traveling thing? It's not easy. It's not some glorious fairy tale adventure. A lot can happen out there, and chances are most of it won't be good." Robin nodded. She folded her arms. "All right, as long as you're sure. There's a town about 4 days' walk from here. They have trading caravans that visit all the time. I'll take you as far as there, and if you still feel the same, then you can join one of the trading caravans. You'll see the entire continent that way." Robin shot to his feet. "Really?" "Only as far as the town. Then you're on your own." Robin looked from the woman to Marley, then back. "You're serious?" Marley slung a pack from his shoulder and handed it to Robin. "Serious as stone, lad. You're done bearing. I've talked to your father. He's willing to let you go." He is? Robin still wasn't quite over the argument he had had with his father. He knew what he had said had hurt him, and he regretted it, but he didn't feel ready to face his father yet. You're of age, and your own man. He knows that. But he was always so adamant that I take over the tailor shop. Parents are strange creatures. You'll figure out why someday." Robin looked at the pack again, then slung it over his own shoulder. "Can we leave tonight?" The woman raised an eyebrow. "You don't want to say goodbye to your family?" Robin looked at Marley awkwardly. Well... Marley nodded. "Don't worry, lad. I'll tell them." That seemed to be enough to satisfy her. "All right then, let's get going. We've got a whole 4 days ahead of us." At the edge of town, with the main road stretched out before him, Robin took one last look back. Marley waved, his burly arm oddly fitting with his large, happy smile. Robin could have sworn his other hand was wiping away tears, but the big man moved too quick for him to get a good look. Robin returned the wave and hurried after the woman. He felt excitement building up in him, and he grinned. It was finally happening. So long, Pastel, he thought. Soon this village would be nothing but a memory. He looked at the woman, who was adjusting her scabbard. "Hey, what's your name?" he asked. If Robin was going to spend the next 4 days with her, he at least should know that. The woman glanced at him, but didn't answer. "Oh, come on. What bad could possibly come from me knowing your name? I'm a tailor's son from a village no one knows. Just tell me." The woman deliberated, then sighed, as if revealing her name was some great burden she'd rather not undertake. "My name is Ellie." Robin grinned. "Nice to meet you, Ellie." She tried to hide it, but Robin caught the edges of a grin on Ellie's face as she looked away. "Good to meet you too, kid. Make sure you keep up."